let's write the algorithm. So the main routine should be as straightforward as level 1 on here. Okay, so my main routine should principally be set up the game with any variables that we want, and then we've got to have some sort of loop. So I'm going to have a loop, and in that loop I need to let each player have a turn. So I might use a for loop, so let's just put that in here for the moment. For each player do, and then I need to roll 3 dice, roll 2 dice, roll 1 dice, and then work out a score. I'll put determined, didn't I? N4, and then somewhere in here I need to have a check. So that probably goes in the while loop there, and I need to check for winner, and that will stop. Okay, and then I will stop the game. Now this is not my algorithm, this is just what I know I need to do. So now I can think about writing the algorithm for this. So this is just my main routine. Okay, so let's make sure I've got this as main. And it's always important to try and start with main, because if you don't start with main, the other functions are there to provide a functionality to main, and the main routine is what's most important. So end main. Okay, so we're going to have a loop that's going to keep going until the game is won. So let's call it is won. Okay, so I'm going to say is won is false to start with. So, and if I'm going to keep going while not is won. Okay, so if we haven't won, we're going to keep looping. Okay, so that's quite straightforward. And then I also need some scores. So I need a score for player 1. So let's call that score 1. And I'll set that to 0, and we'll have the score for player 2 as well. And we'll make that 0 as well. Okay, and we'll start with player 1. So let's set the player to be equal to 1. Okay, so here we go. So while not is 1, so what do I need to do? So how do I loop through for each player? So do I need to use a for loop? I could think about that, but no, I don't think we do. I think we can do that and just switch it round. So we need to do this twice, one for each player. So let's have here, actually I'll have it for player. So I want to go, so they want the player, and I want it to start at 1 and go to 2. So player equals 1 to 2, do. Okay. So I can probably take that out there. Okay, so I'm going to go player 1 to 2. So what do I need to do? So I need to roll the dice, and that's going to be my first score. So I'll say let the highest one be rolling the die 3 times. Now what might be useful to do is to have a function for rolling the dice. So let's say roll dice, and I want it to roll 3 dice. Okay, and then that's dice 1. So these are my highest ones. So I can say dice 2, and then I'll do it this way. So I'll say roll dice, but roll 2 of them, and then I'll say roll dice 3. roll dice and 1. Okay, even though that's trivial, let's do that. Okay, and then I want to be able to obviously I've got to work the score out before I determine the score will just be, so let's say score becomes dice 1 plus dice 2 plus dice 3. Now, obviously it depends which player I am as to what we add the score to, whether it's score 1 or score 2. So I'll need to use an if. So I'm going to say if player equals 1, then this goes into score 1. So that will be score 1 plus all of that. Okay, I'll copy that, and if it's not player 1, it'll be player 2, or else, and this time it will be score 2 equals whatever score 2 was before. Okay, and then the for loop will just change the player back, so that's alright so far, and then I need to check for a winner, so at the end of that for loop. So I'm going to ask, let's put a while in there, I'm going to ask if, let's determine it, display winner, might as well put that into a function as well. So if I pass it score 1 and score 2, then it can determine the winner, check for a winner and display it. Okay, so I will need, I'll only need that if I'm in the loop, won't I? So let's get that outside of the loop. So let's say I'll reset is 1, and we'll make check for win, and we'll pass score 1 and score 2 into it. Okay, so if is 1, hopefully that will change it, that's what we want to do. Okay, so my main routine is actually quite simple. Okay, and what you mustn't do is overcomplicate this. And part of the reason for breaking it down into the different structures is to have these different parts as functions. Okay, so I've got a function, I haven't got a function for setup, I've got one for the turn, okay, for rolling the dice, so I've made that into one, and I've got one for checking for the winner and one for outputting the result. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Now let's see if we can write the other functions for it. Obviously we want to roll dice, and we need to do check for winner and display winner. Okay, but this is the approach you need to take.